Hello there, and welcome back to Bedtime Science. I'm really glad you're here tonight. Dogs are one of the strangest scientific success stories on Earth. Not because they are rare. They are not. Not because they are wild or mysterious in the distant, unreachable sense. They live in kitchens, apartments, farmyards, hospitals, airports, rescue stations, and bedrooms. They sleep beside people, wait by doors, follow voices through a house, and read human faces with a seriousness that can feel almost unsettling. But the more closely science looks at them, the less ordinary they become. A dog is not simply a friendly animal. It is a biological record of one of the longest relationships between two species ever known. Its nose is a chemical instrument more sensitive than anything a human being can imagine from inside a human body. Its ears receive a world of high frequencies that pass over us in silence. Its mind has been shaped by thousands of years of watching us, working with us, and learning which signals matter in a human world. Its body carries the legacy of the wolf, but its social life has been reorganized around us. That is the science in this story. Evolution, cognition, memory, smell, attachment, communication, sleep, stress, aging, disease detection, and the quiet intelligence of an animal that became part of the human environment without ever becoming human itself. The result is not a sentimental story. It is a remarkable one. Dogs are familiar enough that people sometimes stop noticing how strange they are. Tonight, we look more carefully. The first thing to understand is that dog domestication was not a single clean event with one date and one location. It was a long, messy, overlapping process that unfolded across the final ice age, when human beings were still hunter-gatherers and the world was colder, wilder, and filled with large animals that no longer exist. Wolves and humans were both social hunters. Both depended on cooperation. Both moved across large territories, read tracks, watched prey, and lived inside social groups where attention to others mattered. That overlap did not make domestication inevitable, but it made it possible. Two intelligent predators were using the same landscapes in partly similar ways, and one of them gradually found a place beside the other. The earliest archaeological evidence for dogs is complicated because the boundary between late Pleistocene wolves and early dogs is not always easy to draw from bones alone. A skull may be shorter, a snout slightly reduced, teeth somewhat crowded, but those traits vary in wolves too. Some ancient specimens are debated for exactly this reason. Were they early dogs, unusually shaped wolves, or animals somewhere in between? The uncertainty itself is revealing. Domestication did not flip a switch. It blurred a line. Over many generations, a population of wolves became less fearful, more tolerant, more attentive to human behavior, and eventually different enough in body and mind that it deserved another name. In that early world, dogs may have been useful before they were companions in the modern sense. They could have warned camps about approaching predators or strangers. They could have helped locate wounded prey. They could have guarded meat caches, cleaned up waste, and provided warmth. But usefulness alone does not explain the emotional depth of the later bond. Many animals have been useful to humans. Very few have entered human social life so completely. The dog did not merely become a tool. It became a partner, then a household member, then in many cultures of being mourned, buried, named, painted, protected, and remembered. One of the most interesting features of dogs is that their domestication appears to have shaped them at the level of emotional tolerance. A wolf can be social, intelligent, cooperative, and loyal to its pack, but it remains a wild animal whose stress system is calibrated for a dangerous life. A dog is different. Compared with wolves, dogs are generally better at recovering from social uncertainty, more willing to seek help from humans, more able to tolerate the constant small interruptions of domestic life, and more likely to look toward a person when confused. That last behavior is especially important. When a dog faces an unsolvable problem, it often looks back at a human. A wolf, even one raised by people, is more likely to keep working independently. The dog asks, in its own way, whether the human has information. This help-seeking tendency is one of the great cognitive signatures of domestication. It means the dog does not experience humans merely as background objects or sources of food. It treats them as social agents whose attention, gestures, and intentions may matter. A dog watching a human point is not simply following a moving finger. It is reading the point as a communicative act. That ability seems simple because human infants do it early, and because humans use pointing so naturally that we forget how strange it is. But in the animal kingdom, understanding pointing is unusual. A point is not a physical force. It does not pull the object toward the hand. It only means something if the observer understands that one mind is directing another mind toward a shared focus. The scientific study of dogs has therefore become a window into the evolution of social cognition itself. Dogs are not our closest relatives. Chimpanzees are. Yet dogs often outperform chimpanzees on tasks that involve reading human gestures. This does not mean dogs are more intelligent than apes in general. It means they are specialized for a different social problem. Apes evolved inside ape societies. Dogs evolved, for thousands of years, inside human proximity. The result is an animal whose mind is tuned not to all intelligence, but to a very specific kind of intelligence, the intelligence of living with us. Even the differences between individual dogs can be understood through this evolutionary lens. Some dogs are highly people-oriented, constantly checking faces, waiting for signals, and looking for approval. Others are more independent, driven by scent, movement, territory, or the environment itself. These differences do not make one dog better than another. They reflect different histories of selection, different breed tendencies, and different temperaments. A livestock guardian bred to make independent decisions in a mountain pasture does not have the same social style as a retriever bred to work close to a human hunter. A scent hound following a trail is not being stubborn in a human moral sense. Its nervous system has been shaped to value the scent world so strongly that a human voice may briefly become less important than the invisible path on the ground. The idea that dogs are simply obedient animals is therefore misleading. Obedience is only one narrow form of dog intelligence, and in some contexts it is not the most important one. A guide dog must sometimes disobey a command if following it would endanger its handler. A search and rescue dog must work at a distance, following scent information the human cannot access. A herding dog must respond to whistles, but also make rapid decisions about animals moving unpredictably across terrain. A detection dog must ignore crowds, noise, and food odors while staying focused on a target scent present in tiny concentrations. These are not passive behaviors. They require attention, inhibition, memory, motivation, and flexible decision-making. The relationship between dogs and humans is also unusual because it is deeply embodied. Humans do not bond with dogs only through language or abstract thought. They bond through routines, touch, shared movement, eye contact, smell, and repeated patterns of daily life. A dog learns the sound of a specific car in the driveway, the rhythm of footsteps in the hallway, the emotional difference between a hurried morning and a quiet evening. It learns when a person is likely to leave, when food is prepared, when a walk is possible, when a voice means play, and when it means tension. The dog lives inside the choreography of the household, and over time that choreography becomes part of its nervous system. This is why dogs are so sensitive to routine. Predictable patterns reduce uncertainty, and uncertainty is costly for an animal whose well-being depends on social access and environmental safety. A dog that knows when meals happen, when walks happen, where it sleeps, who belongs to the household, And what signals predict change is a dog whose stress system can remain calmer. Sudden disruption does not merely inconvenience a dog. It alters the structure through which the dog understands its world. Moving house, changing owners, losing a companion animal, or experiencing long periods of unpredictable human absence can all affect a dog deeply because the dog's life is organized around attachment, place, and expectation. At the same time, dogs are remarkably adaptable. Their success as a species depends partly on this flexibility. Dogs can live in Arctic villages, desert camps, dense cities, rural farms, mountain pastures, suburban homes, and nomadic communities. They can pull sleds, guard sheep, hunt birds, detect explosives, comfort patients, locate missing people, and sleep under a cafe table while traffic passes nearby. Few mammals can occupy so many human-created niches. The reason is not merely physical variation, although dogs have plenty of that. It is behavioral plasticity, the capacity to adjust to different social and environmental demands while remaining recognizably dog-like. A dog's body tells the story of this flexibility. The domestic dog contains more variation in body size, skull shape, coat type, limb length, ear form, and behavior than almost any other mammal. A greyhound, a dachshund, a Saint Bernard, a husky, and a pug are all members of the same species. Yet their bodies look as if evolution has experimented wildly with the same basic template. Much of this variation is recent by evolutionary standards, intensified during the last few centuries as formal breed creation accelerated. This is one reason dogs are so useful to geneticists. Enormous differences in form can sometimes be traced to a relatively small number of genetic changes, making the dog a living laboratory of development, selection, and inherited variation. But this physical diversity has come with costs. When humans select strongly for appearance, they can unintentionally select for suffering. Very short muzzles can make breathing and cooling difficult. Extremely long backs can increase the risk of spinal problems. Excessive skin folds can create chronic irritation and infection. Large body size can strain joints and shorten lifespan. The science of dogs is therefore not only a celebration of adaptation, it is also a reminder that domestication creates ethical responsibility. Once a species has been shaped so deeply by human preference, human beings become responsible for the consequences of those preferences. That responsibility begins early in a dog's life. Puppies are not born as miniature adults. They pass through sensitive developmental windows during which the brain is especially open to learning what is safe, familiar, and socially meaningful. The socialization period in puppies, often described as occurring roughly between 3 and 14 weeks of age, is one of the most important stages of a dog's life. During this window, gentle exposure to humans, other dogs, ordinary household sounds, surfaces, handling, and varied environments can shape the adult dog's confidence for years. A puppy that learns early that the world is varied but not dangerous is more likely to become an adult dog capable of calm adaptation. This does not mean flooding a puppy with overwhelming experiences. Good socialization is not a checklist of stressful encounters. It is controlled, positive, gradual learning. The puppy hears a vacuum cleaner at a manageable distance. It meets calm people. It walks on different surfaces. It experiences being gently handled. It sees bicycles, umbrellas, hats, doorways, stairs, and traffic without being forced into fear. Each safe exposure becomes a small prediction stored in the developing brain. This exists, and it did not hurt me. The adult dog later draws on that library of predictions. Confidence is often built from many small, quiet memories of safety. Fear learning is just as powerful. A frightening event during a sensitive period can leave a lasting mark, especially if the puppy is trapped, overwhelmed, or unable to recover. This is why early handling and training matter so much. The goal is not to create a dog that never feels fear. Fear is normal and useful. The goal is to create a dog whose fear system is calibrated accurately, alert to real danger, but not activated constantly by ordinary life. A calm dog is not a dog with no emotions. It is a dog whose nervous system has learned that many parts of the human world are predictable enough to tolerate. Adolescence in dogs is another underappreciated stage. Many people expect a dog to become steadily easier after puppyhood, then become surprised when a once responsive young dog begins testing boundaries, ignoring familiar cues, becoming more distracted, or showing new anxieties. This is not moral rebellion. It is development. Hormonal changes, brain maturation, increasing independence, and changing social motivations all alter behavior during adolescence. In many dogs, this period is when training is most likely to break down and when owners are most likely to feel frustrated. Understanding it as a developmental stage rather than a character flaw changes the response. Patience, consistency, and reinforcement matter more than punishment. The science of dog training has moved strongly toward methods based on learning theory and welfare. Dogs learn through consequences, association, repetition, timing, and emotional state. A behavior followed by something rewarding is more likely to occur again. A cue that reliably predicts a pleasant outcome becomes meaningful. A situation repeatedly paired with fear becomes threatening. These principles are simple, but their application requires skill. The timing of reinforcement matters. The clarity of the cue matters. The dog's motivation matters. The emotional state of the dog matters. Training is not the imposition of human will on an empty animal. It is communication through predictable patterns. Positive reinforcement is not permissiveness. It is the deliberate strengthening of desired behaviors by making them worthwhile to the dog. A dog that sits calmly before going through a door, returns when called, releases an object, walks on a loose lead, or settles on a mat is not doing these things because it has abstract respect for rules. It is doing them because a learning history has made those behaviors effective, safe, and rewarding. Well-designed training gives the dog information. This behavior works. Poorly designed punishment often gives the dog only fear or confusion. Something bad happened, but I do not know exactly why or how to avoid it next time. One of the strongest predictors of good dog behavior is the human's ability to notice early signals. Dogs communicate discomfort long before they bite. They turn away, lick their lips, yawn, freeze, lower their body, show the whites of the eyes, close the mouth, shift weight backward, or become unusually still. Humans often miss these signals because they are waiting for louder ones. But in dog communication, stillness can be loud. A frozen dog is not relaxed. A dog tolerating a hug with a tense mouth and turned head is not enjoying affection. A dog that stops eating when someone approaches may not be polite. It may be guarding. The earlier the signal is recognized, the easier it is to prevent escalation. Much of dog behavior that humans label as bad is better understood as natural behavior expressed in the wrong context. Chewing is natural. Digging is natural. Barking is natural. Chasing movement is natural. Guarding valuable resources is natural. Pulling toward interesting smells is natural. The question is not why the dog does these things. The question is whether the human environment has provided acceptable outlets and clear alternatives. A bored terrier digging into a sofa is not trying to ruin furniture. It may be expressing a motor pattern selected over generations. A hound pulling toward a scent is not insulting the person holding the lead. It is obeying a sensory world that is far more vivid to the dog than the sidewalk appears to us. Understanding enrichment is therefore essential. A dog's brain needs more than food, shelter, and affection. It needs opportunities to use its species-specific capacities. Sniffing walks, problem-solving toys, training games, social contact. Chewing, safe exploration, and movement all provide forms of mental work. A walk where the dog is allowed to sniff can be more neurologically satisfying than a longer walk where it is constantly pulled away from every scent. To a dog, a lamppost is not a lamppost. It is a public archive, layered with chemical information from other dogs, weather, time, and traffic. Sniffing is not a delay in the walk. For the dog, sniffing is often the point of the walk. The nose also explains why dogs can appear to remember places and people with extraordinary precision. A human may recognize a home by sight, the shape of the door, the color of the walls, the arrangement of furniture. A dog recognizes it chemically. The scent profile of a place includes dust, wood, fabric, human skin cells, cooking residues, other animals, cleaning products, outdoor air, moisture, and countless volatile compounds that shift over time. To a dog, every room has a scent history. A person who returns after months away may be visually changed, but the underlying chemical identity remains recognizable. Memory, for a dog, is often anchored in smell. This olfactory memory can be astonishing. Dogs trained in scent detection can remember target odors after long gaps in training. Search dogs can follow age trails, distinguishing the scent of one individual from the background scent of a busy environment. Conservation dogs can detect the scat of endangered species across large landscapes, helping researchers estimate populations without disturbing the animals. Detection dogs have been used to locate invasive plants, rare turtles, illegal wildlife products, bed bugs, explosives, narcotics, and even microbial infections in crops. The dog's nose has become a scientific instrument because it can do something no machine yet does with equal flexibility: detect complex odor patterns in messy real-world conditions. The reason this works is that smell is not a single simple sense for dogs. It is layered, directional, temporal, and analytical. A scent trail is not merely present or absent. It has age, intensity, spread, contamination, and direction. As a person walks, tiny particles of skin, sweat, fabric, and environmental disturbance are left behind. The ground is slightly crushed. Vegetation is bruised. Soil bacteria are disturbed. Air currents move molecules unevenly. A tracking dog reads this changing pattern, sampling left and right, moving through a three-dimensional scent plume that humans cannot perceive. Watching a skilled dog track can look almost mystical, but it is not magic. It is sensory biology operating at a resolution we do not share. Dogs also perceive human bodies chemically. Emotional states change body odor through shifts in sweat composition, hormones, and volatile organic compounds. Studies suggest that dogs can distinguish human stress odor from non-stress odor, and many owners report that their dogs respond differently when they are anxious, ill, sad, or excited. The mechanism does not require supernatural empathy. It requires a nose sensitive enough to detect changes in the body's chemistry and a social brain attentive enough to care what those changes mean. For a dog living closely with a human, the person's emotional and physiological state becomes part of the environment. The idea that dogs can smell fear is therefore partly true, though simplified. Fear changes the body. Heart rate rises. Sweat chemistry changes. Breathing changes. Movement changes. Facial expression changes. A dog may integrate all of this: scent, posture, muscle tension, voice, gaze, and behavior. The dog is not reading fear as a word. It is reading a pattern. The same is true of calm. A relaxed human moves differently, smells different, speaks differently, and breathes differently from a tense human. Dogs are sensitive to these patterns, and some dogs mirror them. A nervous person may make a sensitive dog more vigilant. A calm person may help regulate the same dog. This cross-species emotional feedback is one reason dogs can be so helpful in therapeutic settings. Therapy dogs visiting hospitals, schools, care homes, and disaster sites do not heal in a simple mechanical way. Their effect is relational and physiological. Touching a calm dog can lower arousal. Watching a dog breathe slowly can change a person's own rhythm. The dog offers social contact without the same complexity of human judgment. For some people, especially children, elderly patients, and those experiencing loneliness or trauma, the presence of a calm dog can make the world feel temporarily safer. That feeling has biology behind it. Oxytocin, cortisol, heart rate variability, attention, and the nervous system's response to safe social connection. Service dogs go further, performing trained tasks that directly support a person's functioning. A guide dog must make complex environmental judgments. A diabetic alert dog may detect changes in scent associated with blood glucose shifts. A mobility assistance dog may retrieve objects, open doors, provide balance support, or interrupt dangerous behavior. A psychiatric service dog may wake a person from nightmares, create space in crowds, or interrupt panic through trained pressure. These tasks require more than affection. They require temperament, selection, training, impulse control, and a stable bond with a handler. Not every dog can do this work. The dogs that can represent an extraordinary collaboration between canine biology and human training. The history of working dogs is also a history of human survival. Sled dogs made movement possible across Arctic landscapes where machines did not yet exist and where human bodies alone could not cover the necessary distances. Livestock guardian dogs protected sheep and goats from wolves, bears, and other predators across Europe and Asia. Hunting dogs helped humans find, flush, retrieve, track, and hold game. Turnspit dogs once powered kitchen wheels by running inside small treadmills, a now extinct working role that seems strange today but reminds us that dog labor took many forms. Military and messenger dogs carried information, located wounded soldiers, detected mines, and worked in conditions of extreme danger. The companion dog is only one chapter in a much larger human-canine history. At the same time, the modern companion role is scientifically interesting precisely because it is not primarily practical. Many people keep dogs not for work, protection, or hunting, but for relationship. This means a dog has become valuable not only for what it does, but for what it is. The everyday bond, the greeting at the door, the shared walk, the presence in a quiet room, has become enough. In evolutionary terms, that is remarkable. A carnivore descended from wolves has become, for millions of humans, a source of emotional regulation and companionship in daily life. Dogs themselves appear to benefit from this bond when it is stable and kind. A well-attached dog is not merely dependent. It is socially anchored. The human provides a secure base from which the dog can explore and a safe haven to which it can return. This is why a dog may investigate a new environment more confidently when its owner is present. The presence of the attachment figure changes the dog's perception of risk. The same room, the same object, the same stranger may be less threatening when the trusted human is nearby. Attachment is not an abstract feeling. It changes behavior. The body of a dog is designed for movement, even in breeds where human selection has altered that design dramatically. The ancestral canid body is built for endurance, a flexible spine, strong limbs, efficient lungs, a deep chest in many types, and paws that can absorb repeated impact. The pads of the paws are tough but sensitive, containing nerves that detect surface texture, temperature, and pressure. The claws provide traction. The tail helps balance and communicate. The whole animal is a moving system, tuned for trotting, turning, accelerating, stopping, sniffing, listening, and orienting toward changes in the environment. The gait of dogs has been studied in detail because different gaits reveal how the animal balances speed, efficiency, and stability. Dogs walk, trot, pace, canter, and gallop depending on speed and structure. The trot, in which diagonal pairs of legs move together, is highly efficient for sustained travel and is common in wolves covering long distances. Many working dogs naturally settle into a trot when moving steadily because it conserves energy. The gallop, by contrast, is a high-speed gait involving flexion and extension of the spine, powerful hind limb drive, and momentary suspension when all 4 feet are off the ground. A running dog is not simply moving its legs faster. It is using the whole body like a spring. The mouth of a dog also reflects its evolutionary history. Dogs have teeth adapted for grabbing, tearing, and shearing, including canine teeth for holding and carnassial teeth for slicing. Yet domestic dogs, unlike strict carnivores such as cats, are more flexible in diet. Their adaptation to starch digestion reflects their long association with human food environments. This does not make dogs identical to humans in nutritional needs, but it does show how deeply domestication reached into metabolism. A dog's body adjusted not only to human presence, but to human leftovers, human grains, human settlements, and eventually human-designed diets. Dogs communicate with humans partly because humans have learned, imperfectly, to read dogs. We recognize some signals easily: tail wagging, barking, jumping, whining. But many of the most important signals are quieter. A dog leaning gently against a person may be seeking contact or reassurance. A dog placing itself between a person and a stranger may be guarding, buffering, or simply positioning socially. A dog bringing a toy may be inviting play, but may also be offering a socially meaningful object. A dog resting its head on a human foot may be seeking warmth, comfort, proximity, or all of these at once. Dog behavior rarely has only one simple meaning. It is context, history, body language, and relationship combined. Tail wagging is a good example. Humans often assume a wagging tail means happiness, but the science is more nuanced. A wag is a sign of arousal, not necessarily friendliness. The speed, height, stiffness, direction, and whole body context matter. A loose, sweeping wag with relaxed muscles often indicates friendly excitement. A high, stiff, short wag may indicate tension. A low wag with a lowered body may indicate appeasement or uncertainty. Some studies suggest that dogs wag more to the right when experiencing positive approach emotions and more to the left under more negative or withdrawal-related emotions, reflecting asymmetry in brain activation. Whether or not a human notices such details, other dogs often do. Barking is similarly complex. Dogs bark far more than wolves as adults, which may be partly a domestication effect and partly a result of living in environments where vocal communication with humans is useful. A bark can alert, invite, demand, warn, express frustration, signal loneliness, or accompany play. The acoustic structure changes with context. Humans, even without special training, can often identify whether a bark is playful, aggressive, fearful, or lonely at rates above chance. This suggests that dog vocalizations have become partly legible to the human ear. The dog barks, and the human understands just enough for communication to work. Howling connects dogs more visibly to their wolf ancestry. Wolves howl to maintain contact across distance, coordinate social groups, advertise territory, and reunite separated pack members. Domestic dogs vary widely in how much they howl. Northern breeds and some hounds are especially vocal in this way, reflecting their ancestry and working roles. A dog howling at a siren may be responding to a sound that resembles, in certain acoustic features, a distant howl. The dog is not confused in a human sense. It is responding through an ancient communication system to a modern sound that happens to fit part of the pattern. The dog's relationship with time is another area where everyday observation and science meet. Dogs clearly anticipate regular events. They wait near doors before a person arrives, become alert near feeding time, and recognize routines associated with walks or departures. They do not need clocks to do this. Circadian rhythms, scent decay, environmental sounds, light changes, and repeated human patterns all provide temporal information. A room smells different after a person has been gone for 1 hour than after they have been gone for 6. The fading concentration of human scent may help a dog estimate absence duration. Time, for a dog, may be partly chemical. Memory in dogs includes procedural memory, associative memory, spatial memory, social memory, and in some studies something resembling episodic-like memory. Memory for what happened, where, and in what context. Dogs can remember people after long separations. They can remember train tasks for years. They remember places where frightening or rewarding events occurred. They can learn routines made of many steps. Some research suggests dogs can unexpectedly recall and imitate actions they saw earlier, even when they did not know at the time that they would be asked to repeat them later. This implies memory that is not merely immediate conditioning, but a richer representation of experience. Yet dog memory is not human memory. Dogs likely do not narrate their lives internally in language. They do not appear to organize identity around autobiographical stories in the way humans do. Their memory is probably more sensory, emotional, procedural, and contextual. They remember the person, the smell, the place, the routine, the fear, the reward, the sound of the leash, the feeling of the car slowing near the park. That does not make the memory lesser. It makes it different. A dog's past may live less as a spoken story and more as a set of predictions held in the body. The question of whether dogs feel guilt is a good example of how easily humans project their own emotions onto canine behavior. Many owners recognize the so-called guilty look, lowered head, averted gaze, ears back, crouched posture. But experiments have shown that dogs display this look more reliably in response to being scolded than in response to actually having done something forbidden. In other words, the guilty look may not be guilt in the human moral sense. It may be appeasement, a response to human anger or tension. The dog is not necessarily thinking, "I violated a rule and now feel moral remorse." It may be thinking, "The human is upset and I need to reduce conflict." This does not mean dogs have no complex emotions. It means their emotions should be understood on their own terms. Dogs can experience fear, joy, frustration, desire, attachment, anxiety, relief, and probably forms of jealousy and grief. They may not experience shame, guilt, or pride in the same reflective, self-evaluating way humans do. The difference matters because misunderstanding emotion can lead to unfair treatment. Punishing a dog for looking guilty may punish appeasement, not wrongdoing. Comforting a fearful dog does not reinforce fear in the simplistic way some old training advice suggested. It may provide social support that helps the nervous system recover. Accurate emotion reading is part of humane care. Dogs can grieve. Many owners report changes in behavior after the loss of another dog or a human companion. Reduced appetite, searching behavior, sleep changes, clinginess, withdrawal, or altered vocalization. Scientific studies of companion animal grief support the idea that dogs respond to the loss of social partners in ways consistent with grief-like states. Whether this grief contains the same conceptual understanding of death that humans may have is impossible to know. But the behavioral and emotional disruption is real. A relationship has been removed from the dog's world, and the dog's world changes. The social lives of dogs with other dogs are not always as simple as people imagine. Some dogs are highly social and enjoy meeting unfamiliar dogs. Others prefer familiar companions and find strange dogs stressful. Some tolerate other dogs, but do not seek interaction. Breed, early socialization, individual temperament, past experience, age, reproductive status, and health all influence dog-dog relationships. The assumption that every dog should enjoy a dog park is therefore mistaken. For some dogs, a dog park is enrichment. For others, it is chaos. Too many unknown dogs, too much pressure, too little control. Social welfare for dogs means matching the environment to the individual, not forcing every dog into the same idea of fun. Multi-dog households have their own social dynamics. Dogs living together may form strong bonds, play together, sleep near each other, groom each other, or coordinate behavior. They may also coexist without deep attachment or experience tension over food, space, toys, doorways, human attention, or resting places. Many conflicts in multi-dog homes are not dramatic fights, but subtle, repeated pressures. One dog blocking another's path, staring, taking preferred resting places, hovering near food, or interrupting human contact. Humans often miss these patterns because they are quiet. Dogs do not need constant open aggression to experience social stress. The sleep of dogs reveals their emotional lives in another way. A dog that feels safe can sleep deeply. A dog that is anxious may doze lightly, wake frequently, move from place to place, or remain alert to every sound. Sleep location matters. Some dogs choose doorways, where they can monitor movement. Some choose soft enclosed spaces. Some choose human beds or the floor beside them. These choices are partly about warmth, partly about comfort, partly about safety, and partly about social proximity. A sleeping dog has made a decision about where vulnerability is acceptable. Dogs dream, and the dreams of dogs are among the most quietly fascinating pieces of everyday neuroscience. During our EM sleep, their paws twitch, whiskers move, breathing changes, and small vocalizations appear. Puppies and older dogs often show more visible dream movements, probably because of differences in sleep architecture and motor inhibition. Scientists cannot know the content of a dog's dreams, but because sleep supports memory consolidation across mammals, it is reasonable to think that dog dreams involve fragments of waking experience: running, sniffing, playing, searching, hearing familiar voices, responding to emotional events. The dog asleep beside a person may be processing its day in a private sensory world we can only infer. The aging of dogs is particularly important because dogs share human environments. They breathe the same indoor air, walk the same neighborhoods, experience similar routines, and are exposed to some of the same environmental chemicals. This makes them valuable models for studying aging, cancer, obesity, environmental exposure, and cognitive decline. Unlike laboratory animals, companion dogs age naturally in complex real-world environments. Large long-term studies of dog aging are now collecting data on genetics, diet, exercise, environment, disease, behavior, and lifespan, with the hope of understanding not only how dogs age, but how aging itself works in mammals. Cancer is common in dogs, partly because many dogs now live long enough for age-related diseases to appear. Certain breeds have elevated risks of specific cancers, reflecting genetic bottlenecks and breed histories. Golden retrievers, boxers, Bernese mountain dogs, Scottish terriers, and others are studied closely because breed-related risk can help identify genetic and environmental contributors. The tragedy of cancer in companion dogs has therefore also become a source of medical knowledge. Comparative oncology studies naturally occurring cancers in dogs to improve treatment for both dogs and humans, especially because some canine cancers resemble human cancers biologically more closely than artificially induced tumors in laboratory mice. Obesity is another major health issue in domestic dogs. It shortens lifespan, increases the risk of arthritis, diabetes, respiratory difficulty, and reduced quality of life. But obesity in dogs is not only a matter of food quantity. It reflects human behavior, household routines, breed predisposition, neuter status, activity level, and the emotional role of feeding. Humans often use food to express affection, apologize for absence, manage boredom, or avoid conflict. The dog learns quickly. Those soft eyes at the table are not accidental. They are effective. A dog does not understand long-term metabolic risk. It understands that a certain look, posture, or sound may produce a piece of food. The human must be the one who understands both love and restraint. The relationship between neutering, behavior, and health is more complex than older advice often suggested. Spaying and neutering reduce unwanted reproduction and can reduce the risk of certain diseases, but timing and individual context matter. In some large breeds, early neutering has been associated with increased risk of orthopedic problems and some cancers. Behavioral effects vary too. Neutering may reduce roaming and some hormone-driven behaviors, but it is not a universal cure for aggression, anxiety, or poor training. The best approach depends on breed, age, health, behavior, environment, and veterinary guidance. This is another example of how modern dog science has moved away from one-size-fits-all answers. The gut microbiome of dogs is increasingly recognized as a key part of health. A dog's digestive tract contains communities of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microorganisms that help process food, interact with the immune system, and produce metabolites that may influence inflammation and even behavior. Diet changes can alter the microbiome. Antibiotics can disrupt it. Living with humans and other animals can shape it. The idea that dogs and their owners may share aspects of their microbiomes through close contact is a strange but intimate biological fact. Companionship is not only emotional. At the microbial level, households are ecosystems. The emotional effect of dogs on humans may also work partly because dogs pull attention outward. Human anxiety often narrows attention inward, toward rumination, prediction, and self-monitoring. A dog interrupts that loop. It needs to go outside. It notices a sound. It brings a toy. It breathes, stretches, shakes off, sniffs a patch of grass, or falls asleep with complete seriousness. Caring for a dog places the human mind inside a repeated pattern of action in the world. Feed, walk, touch, speak, clean, train, observe. These small routines can stabilize a day. For some people, that structure is not minor. It is protective. The dog walk is one of the most interesting social rituals in modern life. It is ordinary, but scientifically rich. It provides exercise, light exposure, environmental variation, social contact, and sensory enrichment. It creates a predictable routine for the dog and a behavioral anchor for the human. It can increase neighborhood familiarity because people with dogs often become visible to one another through repeated routes and casual greetings. The dog becomes a social bridge. A person who might not speak to strangers may speak to another dog owner. The animal at the end of the leash changes the social field. Dogs also shape human perception of safety. The presence of a dog can make a person feel less alone in a house, on a walk, or during the night. This feeling may or may not correspond to actual protection, depending on the dog, but the psychological effect is real. The dog hears things first, reacts to movement, notices changes, and shares the space as another attentive being. For a species like ours, evolved to sleep and live near others, that presence matters. A quiet dog in a room is not doing nothing. It is changing the emotional atmosphere of the room. There is also a darker side to the dog-human relationship that responsible science cannot ignore. Dogs can suffer when human expectations do not match canine needs. They can be bred into bodies that hurt, isolated for long hours, punished for normal behavior, deprived of exercise, overwhelmed by chaotic environments, or treated as objects rather than living animals. The very traits that make dogs so bonded to humans also make them vulnerable to human neglect. A cat may be more independent in some situations. A dog often organizes its emotional life around the human household so completely that poor care becomes psychologically profound. To understand dogs scientifically is also to understand their dependence. Street dogs and village dogs offer another perspective. In many parts of the world, dogs are not formal pets in the Western sense and do not belong to a single household. They live around human settlements, scavenging, forming loose social groups, reproducing freely, and interacting with people at varying distances. These free-ranging dogs may resemble earlier domesticated dogs more than modern purebred pets do. They are often medium-sized, short-coated, alert, flexible, and socially cautious. Their lives remind us that the dog as a species is not defined only by the sofa and the collar. Much of dog evolution occurred in the in-between spaces, near people, but not fully controlled by them. The modern purebred dog is historically recent. Many breeds that feel ancient in popular imagination were standardized only in the 19th century, when kennel clubs, written breed standards, and closed stud books formalized breeding practices. Before that, dogs were often categorized more by function than by strict breed identity. Herding dogs, scent hounds, mastiffs, terriers, lapdogs, sled dogs. The shift from working type to closed breed created visual consistency, but also narrowed genetic diversity. This is why genetic health is such a central issue in modern dog breeding. A breed can preserve a beautiful or useful type while still needing enough genetic variation to remain healthy. Conservation of breed identity without attention to health becomes a biological trap. Mixed breed dogs are not automatically healthier in every case, but they often benefit from greater genetic diversity and reduced risk of some breed-specific recessive disorders. The concept of hybrid vigor, or heterosis, reflects the advantage that can arise when harmful recessive variants inherited from one line are not matched by the same variant from another. However, mixed-breed dogs can still inherit disease risks from their ancestry, and health depends on many factors beyond genetics. The simple lesson is that breeding choices matter, and that the welfare of future dogs is shaped by decisions made long before those dogs are born. The ethical future of dogs will likely involve more attention to behavior as well as body. A healthy dog is not only one that can breathe, walk, eat, and reproduce. It is one that can live comfortably in the environment humans provide. Selecting for stable temperament, resilience, sociability appropriate to the breed's role, and reduced fearfulness may be as important as selecting against physical disease. Many behavioral problems are not failures of training alone, but mismatches between genetics, early development, environment, and human expectation. A high-drive working breed placed in a sedentary household may struggle. A fearful puppy raised without proper socialization may struggle. A dog bred for extreme appearance may struggle physically. Welfare begins before ownership. The science of dogs increasingly recognizes them as individuals. Breed matters, but breed is not destiny. Two dogs of the same breed may differ dramatically in confidence, sociability, motivation, fearfulness, play style, and learning speed. Personality in dogs can be studied through traits such as boldness, sociability, trainability, aggression, fearfulness, and activity level. These traits have genetic components, but are shaped by environment and experience. A dog's personality is not a fixed script, but neither is it infinitely malleable. Good care means seeing the dog that is actually there, not the imaginary dog one expected. This individual attention is especially important with rescue dogs. A dog entering a new home may carry an unknown history of attachment disruption, poor socialization, fear, pain, neglect, or simply confusion. The first days and weeks in a new environment are not a test of the dog's true personality. They are an adjustment period. Stress hormones may be elevated. The dog may be quiet, hypervigilant, clingy, shut down, restless, or unusually well-behaved because it is inhibited. As safety develops, new behaviors may appear. This is not deception. It is the nervous system gradually revealing itself as the environment becomes more predictable. The phrase rescue dog can sometimes invite humans to frame the relationship as a story of saving. But from the dog's point of view, what matters is not the human story. What matters is the daily reality: safety, predictability, appropriate exercise, good food, veterinary care, patience, clear communication, and time. A dog cannot be loved into confidence overnight. Love must become structure. Structure must become trust. Trust must become repeated experience. Then the dog's behavior changes not because it understands gratitude in the human moral sense, but because its body has learned that the world is no longer as dangerous as it once seemed. Dogs are also part of human culture in ways that reveal human values. We project loyalty onto them: courage, innocence, devotion, humor, nobility, foolishness, purity. Sometimes these projections are kind. Sometimes they are limiting. A dog is not a human child, not a machine, not a wolf, not a symbol, not a moral lesson. It is an animal with its own species-specific needs and perceptions. Respecting dogs means allowing them to be dogs, to sniff, move, play, rest, communicate, choose, avoid, investigate, and form attachments in canine ways. The best relationship with a dog may be one in which the human does not demand that the dog become human, and instead learns enough canine language to meet it halfway. There is a reason dogs remain scientifically interesting even after so much study. They sit at the intersection of biology and intimacy. A galaxy is mysterious because it is distant. A dog is mysterious because it is close. It sleeps in the house, but its dreams are inaccessible. It looks into a human face, but its inner experience cannot be translated completely. It responds to words, but lives in scent. It shares our routines, but carries an evolutionary history older than civilization. It is familiar and unknowable at the same time. The scientific humility required here is important. We know more about dogs than we did a century ago, but we still do not know what it feels like from inside to be one. We can measure cortisol, oxytocin, heart rate, brain activation, gaze patterns, learning speed, and vocal acoustics. We can compare genomes and analyze behavior. We can describe the sensory world with increasing precision. But the subjective life of the dog, the smell-sharp, sound-rich, socially anchored inner world of the animal itself, remains partly beyond us. Science can bring us close. It cannot turn us into dogs. That gap does not make the relationship weaker. It may make it more remarkable. Two species with different senses, different bodies, different evolutionary histories, and different minds have learned to live together with enough understanding for genuine partnership. The dog does not need to understand human language fully to know when a person is leaving. The human does not need to smell the world like a dog to know when the dog is afraid. Across the gap, signals pass: gaze, touch, voice, posture, scent, routine, memory. A shared life is built from partial translations. And perhaps that is the deepest science of dogs. Not that they are loyal or cute or useful, but that they show how minds can meet without being the same. The dog and the human do not inhabit identical worlds. They overlap. In that overlap, over thousands of years, something new appeared. Not a wolf, not a person, but a relationship powerful enough to alter evolution itself. The domestic dog, Canis lupus familiaris, is generally treated as a domestic form of the gray wolf, Canis lupus. The divergence of dogs from their wolf ancestors is one of the most consequential events in the history of human-animal relationships, and its timing and location have been actively debated in the scientific literature for decades. Genetic analyses have placed the divergence anywhere from 15,000 to 40,000 years ago, with most recent estimates favoring a range of 20,000 to 40,000 years ago, before the development of agriculture, which places the origin of dog domestication in the context of hunter-gatherer societies rather than settled farming communities. The geographic origin is also debated. Different studies have found signals pointing to East Asia, Central Asia, the Middle East, or Europe, and it is possible that domestication occurred in multiple locations independently, or that an early domestication event was followed by complex patterns of migration and admixture as human populations spread. The process by which wolves became dogs was almost certainly not a deliberate human project. The most widely accepted model is that some wolves began to associate with human camps, feeding on refuse and scraps at the periphery of human settlements. Wolves that were less fearful of humans, that had lower flight distances and calmer responses to human presence, were more successful at exploiting this food source. These less fearful wolves bred preferentially with other less fearful wolves in the same niche, and over generations, this selection for reduced fear of humans drove other behavioral and physiological changes, including changes in appearance. The wolves domesticated themselves by exploiting the human niche, and humans, recognizing the utility of having semi-tame animals that could alert them to strangers and assist in hunting, encouraged and formalized this relationship. The first domestic dogs were essentially the product of natural selection acting on the fear response, with humans as an incidental selective pressure rather than deliberate breeders. The Belyaev fox domestication experiment, begun in Siberia in 1959 by geneticist Dmitry Belyaev, provides the most compelling experimental evidence for how domestication changes animals and how quickly those changes can occur. Belyaev and his colleagues selectively bred silver foxes for a single trait, tameness, defined as non-fearful and non-aggressive response to humans, and found that within 10 generations, foxes were already showing dog-like behaviors, approaching humans, seeking physical contact, whimpering for attention, and responding to human gestures. By 40 generations, the selected foxes were physically different from unselected control foxes. They had floppy ears, curly tails, piebald coat patterns, and shorter snouts. They barked more. Their adrenal glands were smaller, and their stress hormone responses were reduced. All of these changes, physical and behavioral, emerged from selecting for a single behavioral trait. The experiment demonstrated that the suite of domestic dog traits, including the physical features that distinguish dogs from wolves, could plausibly have emerged as correlated responses to selection for reduced fear, without any deliberate selection for those specific traits. The genetic differences between dogs and wolves, despite their shared recent ancestry, include changes in genes involved in starch digestion that are not found in wolves. Dogs have multiple copies of the amylase gene, the gene producing the enzyme that breaks down starch, while wolves typically have only 2 copies. Dogs with more copies of the amylase gene digest starch more efficiently, which would have been advantageous in the context of living near agricultural human communities where grain-based food waste was available. The exact number of amylase gene copies varies by breed and by the historical diet of the populations from which the breed was derived. Breeds from populations with long histories of agricultural subsistence have on average more amylase copies than breeds from populations that relied more heavily on meat-based diets. This variation reflects ongoing adaptation to local human food environments even within the domestic dog species. Dogs are unique among animals in their ability to follow human communicative gestures to find hidden food or objects. When a human points at a container and a dog has a choice of multiple containers to investigate, the dog reliably follows the point to the indicated container. This ability was initially thought to be unique to great apes, but apes actually perform rather poorly on the pointing task. Dogs vastly outperform chimpanzees, our closest relatives, on tasks involving following human communicative gestures. Wolves, even wolves raised by humans from puppyhood, also perform poorly on these tasks. The ability to follow human pointing appears to be a specifically domestic dog adaptation, something that emerged in dogs as a result of their evolutionary history with humans, rather than something that can be acquired through exposure to humans. Puppies as young as 9 weeks of age, before significant social learning from humans could account for it, already follow human pointing gestures spontaneously. The capacity of dogs to read human gaze direction is also exceptional. Dogs preferentially look at the right side of a human face, the same side that humans preferentially look at when reading human faces, suggesting a shared perceptual mechanism for reading facial emotion. Dogs follow human gaze shifts to look at objects or locations that the human is looking at, and they check back to the human's face after looking at an object, a behavior called gaze alternation that is also characteristic of human infants, and that suggests the dog is treating the human as a communicative partner rather than simply a stimulus. Dogs track human gaze direction even when the human turns away. They do not simply follow the head direction, but appear to model the human's attention direction as a mental state. The mirror neuron hypothesis of dog-human social cognition proposes that dogs have neural systems that allow them to simulate the emotional states of humans, to feel something analogous to what they perceive the human to be feeling. This would explain why dogs appear to show empathy-like responses to human distress, approaching and trying to comfort a crying person, becoming subdued in the presence of a person who is upset, becoming playful and energetic in the presence of a person who is happy. Whether dogs are genuinely empathizing in a cognitively meaningful sense, or whether these responses reflect simpler learned associations between human emotional expressions and outcomes, is debated. What is clear is that dogs are exquisitely sensitive to the emotional state of the humans they live with, and that this sensitivity is one of the defining features of the dog-human relationship. The attachment that dogs form to their human caretakers has been studied using the same experimental paradigms used to study infant caregiver attachment in developmental psychology. In the strange situation procedure adapted for dogs, the dog is placed in an unfamiliar room with the owner, then the owner leaves, and the dog's behavior during separation and at reunion is observed. Dogs show patterns of secure and insecure attachment similar to those observed in human infants and in cats. Securely attached dogs explore freely in the owner's presence, become distressed during separation, and show positive reunion behavior. The owner functions as a safe haven and a secure base for exploration in a manner directly parallel to the caregiver function in human-infant attachment theory. The attachment system appears to have been one of the psychological systems most deeply modified by domestication, with dogs redirecting the attachment behavior normally expressed toward conspecifics, other wolves, toward humans. Oxytocin plays a central role in the dog-human bond. When a person and their dog make eye contact, both the person's and the dog's oxytocin levels increase. This bidirectional oxytocin response during mutual gaze is the same mechanism that underlies oxytocin release between human mothers and infants during mutual gaze. It is the neurobiological basis of bonding. Wolves, even those raised by humans, do not show this response during mutual gaze with humans. The capacity for oxytocin release during human-dog mutual gaze appears to be another specifically domesticated dog trait, one that hijacks the mammalian mother-infant bonding system for cross-species use. Research by Takefumi Kikusui and colleagues found that dogs that gazed at their owners for longer had higher urinary oxytocin levels afterward, and that owners whose dogs gazed at them longer also had higher oxytocin levels, a mutual physiological bonding response mediated by a simple gaze. The dog's sense of smell is perhaps its most extraordinary biological asset. and it is one of the best places to begin understanding why dogs experience the world so differently from us. Depending on the breed, a dog's nose contains between 125 million and 300 million olfactory receptor cells, compared to approximately 5 million in humans. A dog's olfactory cortex, the brain region dedicated to processing smell, is approximately 40 times larger relative to brain size than in humans. These anatomical differences translate into a sense of smell estimated to be between 10,000 and 100,000 times more sensitive than human smell, with the capacity to detect odors at concentrations of parts per trillion rather than the parts per billion or parts per million detectable by humans. A frequently used way of expressing this sensitivity is to imagine a dog detecting a tiny amount of scent dispersed through a vast volume of air or water. It can detect the individual odors of objects that were in physical contact days or weeks previously. It can follow a scent trail left by footsteps on bare concrete. The dog's nose has two separate functions that occur simultaneously: detecting airborne scent molecules, which is mediated by the main olfactory system, and detecting chemical signals including pheromones, which is mediated by the vomeronasal organ, a specialized chemoreceptor structure in the roof of the mouth. When a dog investigates the urine marking of another dog, it is using both systems simultaneously: the main olfactory system to detect the chemical composition of the urine and the vomeronasal organ to process the pheromonal information about reproductive status, stress levels, health, and individual identity. A dog can determine from a scent mark not only the identity of the individual who left it, but their emotional state at the time, their recent diet, their hormonal status, whether they are stressed or relaxed, and how long ago they passed. The social information encoded in canine scent marks is extraordinarily detailed. The anatomy of the dog's nose is specifically adapted to maximize olfactory performance. Each nostril is independent and can move slightly, allowing the dog to determine the direction from which a scent is arriving by comparing the intensity detected by each nostril, a form of stereoolfaction. When a dog inhales, the airflow is divided. Most of the air goes directly to the lungs, but a portion is directed into a specialized olfactory recess at the back of the nasal cavity, where it is held in contact with the olfactory epithelium for extended processing. When a dog exhales, the air exits through the slits at the sides of the nostrils, not through the front, which ensures that the exhaled air does not disturb the incoming scent stream. The entire aerodynamics of the dog's nose is engineered for olfactory sensitivity. Dogs have been trained to detect cancer by smell with impressive accuracy in controlled studies, though this remains an area where careful clinical validation matters. Studies have found that dogs trained to identify the odor of specific cancers, including lung, breast, colorectal, and ovarian cancers, in breath, blood, or urine samples can identify positive samples with sensitivity and specificity exceeding 90% in some studies. The biological basis of this detection is that cancer cells have altered metabolic profiles that produce distinctive volatile organic compound signatures detectable by a sufficiently sensitive olfactory system. The dog's nose is detecting metabolic byproducts of cancer cells present at parts per trillion concentrations in exhaled breath or at similarly minute concentrations in urine or blood. Clinical trials of cancer detection dogs are ongoing, and electronic nose technology attempting to replicate what trained dogs can do represents an active area of medical research. The hearing of a dog covers a frequency range of approximately 40 Hz to 65 kHz, compared to the human range of approximately 20 Hz to 20 kHz. The extended high-frequency hearing, the upper limit is roughly 3 times that of human hearing, allows dogs to hear sounds that are completely inaudible to humans, including the ultrasonic communication of rodents and the high-pitched sounds produced by electronic equipment. Dogs can move each outer ear independently, rotating them to localize sound sources with precision. The ability to identify the location of a sound source is approximately 4 times better in dogs than in humans. This directional hearing precision, combined with the extended frequency range, means that a dog's acoustic world is considerably richer and more detailed than the one humans inhabit. Dogs can detect changes in the Earth's magnetic field, and there is evidence that they use magnetoreception in their behavior. A study published in 2013 found that dogs strongly preferred to align themselves along the north-south axis when defecating under calm magnetic field conditions, and that this preference disappeared during periods of magnetic field disturbance. The functional significance of magnetic alignment in defecation is unclear, but the detection of the magnetic field itself is real. The receptor mechanism for dog magnetoreception has not been definitively identified, but cryptochrome proteins in the retina, which play a role in bird magnetoreception, are one candidate, as is magnetite in specific tissues. The magnetic sense of dogs is one of several sensory capabilities that were not known until recently, and that suggest the dog's perceptual world differs from the human world in ways that are still being characterized. The vision of a dog differs from human vision in several important ways. Dogs are not colorblind, but they have dichromatic color vision, 2 types of color receptors rather than the 3 types humans have, similar to a person with red-green color blindness. Dogs can distinguish blue and yellow wavelengths clearly, but have difficulty distinguishing red and green, which both appear as shades of yellow or brown. In compensation for their reduced color discrimination, dogs have a higher density of rod photoreceptors, which are responsible for low-light vision, and a tapetum lucidum behind the retina that reflects light back through the photoreceptors, increasing light sensitivity in dim conditions. Dogs have a visual streak, a horizontal band of high rod and cone density across the retina, rather than the circular fovea that humans use for high-resolution central vision, which gives dogs a wide horizontal field of high acuity suited to scanning a broad horizon for movement. Dogs also have a wider visual field than humans, approximately 240 degrees compared to the human 180, though with less binocular overlap and correspondingly less depth perception. The dog's facial anatomy has evolved specifically to facilitate communication with humans. Research by Julianne Kaminsky and colleagues published in 2019 found that dogs have a specific facial muscle, the levator anguli oculi medialis, which raises the inner eyebrow, that wolves lack or have only in a much less developed form. This muscle, when activated, raises the inner corner of the eyebrow and produces an expression that humans perceive as puppy eyes or sad eyes, an expression that humans find compelling and that has been shown to increase the likelihood of humans adopting shelter dogs. The muscle appears to have been specifically selected during domestication because the expression it produces triggers nurturing responses in humans. Dogs use this expression spontaneously when making eye contact with humans, and they use it more when a human is watching them than when no human is paying attention. The evolution of this single facial muscle is a remarkable example of how domestication has shaped dog anatomy to exploit human social responses. The play behavior of dogs includes a specific signal, the play bow, in which the dog lowers its front end while keeping its rear end raised, that has been studied extensively as an example of metacommunication, a signal that frames subsequent behavior as play rather than as aggression. Dogs use play bows to initiate play and to clarify the intentions of behavior that might otherwise be ambiguous, interrupting a play session with a play bow to signal that a bite was not aggressive. The play bow is almost universal in domestic dogs and occurs in wolves and other canids, suggesting it is ancestral rather than derived from domestication. The cognitive complexity involved in metacommunication, communicating about the meaning of other communications, is significant and indicates that dogs have a sophisticated understanding of the communicative context of their own behavior. The emotional life of dogs has been studied using functional neuroimaging, MRI scans of the brain while the dog is exposed to different stimuli. Research by Gregory Burns and colleagues at Emory University, who trained dogs to lie still in a brain scanner through positive reinforcement rather than sedation, found that the caudate nucleus, a brain region associated with positive expectations and reward, activates in response to familiar human scents more strongly than in response to familiar dog scents, the scent of a stranger or a neutral odor. The caudate activation pattern in dogs responding to human scents resembles the pattern of caudate activation in humans in response to things they enjoy or anticipate with pleasure. This suggests that the presence of a familiar human is, at a neurobiological level, genuinely rewarding to a dog, not merely tolerated or associated with food, but experienced as positive in its own right. The stress response in dogs has been measured through cortisol levels in saliva and urine, and research has found clear evidence that dogs experience genuine psychological stress in response to social disruption. Dogs left alone for extended periods show elevated cortisol, increased heart rate, and behavioral indicators of distress, including barking, whining, pacing, and destructive behavior. The stress response is not simply a response to confinement. Dogs left with their owner in a novel environment do not show the same stress response as dogs left alone in a familiar environment. It is specifically the absence of social contact, particularly with the primary caregiver, that drives the stress response. Separation-related behavior is common in domestic dogs and has been estimated to affect approximately 20 to 40% of the domestic dog population to some degree. The process of domestication has altered the dog's stress response system compared to the wolf's. Wolves maintain a high baseline stress response appropriate to the demands of living in the wild. Constant vigilance, territorial competition, the physical demands of hunting, and the social tensions of pack hierarchy all require a stress system calibrated for frequent activation. Dogs have a significantly reduced baseline stress response. Their cortisol levels at rest are lower, their adrenal glands are smaller relative to body size, and their autonomic nervous systems show reduced reactivity to novel or mildly threatening stimuli. This physiological de-escalation of the stress response is thought to be one of the primary effects of selection for reduced fearfulness during domestication, and it is the biological basis of the calm, manageable demeanor that characterizes most domestic dogs under ordinary conditions. The understanding of human language in dogs is more sophisticated than most people assume. Research by John Pilley on a border collie named Chaser demonstrated that Chaser could learn the names of over 1,000 individual objects, toys and other items with specific names, and could retrieve the correct item when asked, generalize the name to the correct object even when the object was unfamiliar, and infer the name of a new object by exclusion, correctly identifying the new item among a group of familiar objects as the one it did not know. The capacity for fast mapping, acquiring a word-referent association from a single or small number of exposures, and for exclusion learning were both demonstrated in Chaser and have since been demonstrated in other dogs with appropriate training backgrounds. These capacities are also found in human children learning language, and their presence in dogs suggests a degree of conceptual linguistic processing that simple Pavlovian conditioning cannot explain. The work of researchers including Stanley Coren has attempted to characterize dog intelligence along multiple dimensions: instinctive intelligence, what a breed was bred to do; adaptive intelligence, the ability to solve novel problems; and working and obedience intelligence, the ability to learn commands. On tests of working and obedience intelligence, which measure how quickly dogs learn new commands and how reliably they obey them, there is substantial variation across breeds, with border collies, poodles, German Shepherds, Golden Retrievers, and Doberman Pinschers consistently ranking highly. However, these rankings measure a specific and relatively narrow dimension of intelligence, compliance with human instructions, and may not capture other dimensions of cognition, including problem-solving, social intelligence, or olfactory processing, in which breeds not at the top of the obedience rankings might excel. The ability of dogs to deceive, to mislead a human about the location of a food reward, has been demonstrated experimentally. In a study by Julianne Kaminsky and colleagues, dogs were shown multiple boxes, one containing food. The dogs could indicate the food box to a human partner who would then give them the food, or indicate empty boxes to a human who had previously taken the food away. Dogs showed a clear preference for indicating the food box to the cooperative partner and the empty box to the competitive partner, and they did so more reliably when the competitive partner had taken food from them multiple times. This flexible, context-dependent deception, directing a communicative signal to mislead rather than to inform, based on the past behavior of the recipient, is cognitively demanding and suggests a degree of theory of mind, an understanding of the relationship between what another individual knows and what they will do with that knowledge. The theory of mind of dogs, their ability to represent the mental states of others, has been one of the most hotly debated topics in comparative psychology. The initial evidence suggested that dogs had a fairly sophisticated understanding of human knowledge states. Dogs were more likely to steal forbidden food when the human could not see them than when the human was watching, even when the human was simply looking away rather than leaving the room. This suggested that dogs understand something about human visual perception and the relationship between seeing and knowing. More recent research has found that the relationship is more complex. Dogs appear to track where humans are looking, but may not fully represent the human's knowledge state as a distinct mental construct. The exact architecture of dog social cognition, whether it involves genuine mental state attribution or sophisticated learned behavior rules, remains an active area of investigation. The role of play in dog development and adult life is central to their social and cognitive functioning. Play between young dogs, including the biting, chasing, wrestling, and object play of puppies, is not merely exercise but is essential for the development of social skills, bite inhibition, emotional regulation, and motor coordination. Dogs that are deprived of social play during development show impaired social behavior in adulthood, including difficulties with appropriate play signaling, increased aggression, and reduced ability to regulate emotional responses in social contexts. Adult dogs that play regularly with other dogs or with humans show better behavioral flexibility, lower stress indicators, and better human-dog relationship quality. Play is, for dogs as for many social mammals, one of the primary vehicles through which the social brain develops and maintains its capacities. Breed differences in behavior reflect thousands of years of selective breeding for specific working functions, and many of these behavioral tendencies are deeply ingrained and expressed even in the absence of training or experience. Border Collies will attempt to herd anything that moves, children, bicycles, other dogs, because the herding motor pattern is expressed spontaneously when triggered by movement. Retrievers carry objects gently in their mouths without being taught, the product of centuries of selection for soft-mouth retrieval. Beagles follow scent trails with an intensity that makes them difficult to call back once on a track, because the scenting drive was specifically selected to override other behaviors. Terriers dig, shake objects vigorously to kill small animals, and maintain a focused, tenacious approach to problems, reflecting the selective history for hunting and killing small prey. These behavioral tendencies are not merely cultural or trained. They have a neural and genetic basis rooted in the specific selection pressures that shaped each breed. The behavioral differences between breeds are associated with genetic differences in the neural systems that regulate motivation, reward sensitivity, and attention. Herding breeds have high activation of the orientation and eye stalk behaviors associated with the predatory motor sequence. Retrievers have high activation of the chase-grab-carry component. Terriers have high activation of the grab-kill component. These breed-specific behavioral tendencies represent genetic modifications of the wolf predatory sequence, a sequence that in wolves leads from orientation through stalk, chase, grab, kill, and consume, with different breeds having different components amplified or reduced depending on the function they were selected for. Understanding breed behavior in terms of the underlying predatory motor sequence illuminates many apparently unrelated breed characteristics and helps explain why certain breeds thrive in certain working contexts. The ancient dog breeds, those with the deepest evolutionary roots and least modification through recent selective breeding, include the Basenji, Afghan Hound, Saluki, Akita, Alaskan Malamute, Siberian Husky, Chow Chow, Shar-Pei, and a small number of others. Genetic analyses have identified these breeds as the most closely related to the ancestral wolf, with the least admixture from the recent selective breeding that produced most modern breeds. Many of these ancient breeds share characteristics that distinguish them from more recently derived breeds: reduced responsiveness to human commands, lower social motivation toward humans, more wolf-like behavioral tendencies, including less sustained eye contact, and, in the Basenji's case, unusual reproductive biology, including a single annual estrus cycle rather than the 2 cycles typical of most domestic dogs, a feature shared with wolves. These dogs are a window into the early stages of domestication, before the intensive human-directed selection that produced the modern array of breed types. The wolf lineage from which dogs derived is a social carnivore with a complex pack structure built around a breeding pair and their offspring. Wolf pack social organization is based on cooperative hunting and cooperative pup rearing. The behavioral architecture of the domestic dog retains many elements of this wolf social heritage: cooperative behavior, sensitivity to social hierarchy, communication through body posture and facial expression, maintenance of social bonds through play and affiliative behavior, and the capacity for close social relationships with conspecifics and with other species. What domestication has done is redirect many of these social behaviors toward humans, effectively treating humans as pack members, as the social partners for whom the dog's social cognitive system evolved in the wolf context. The dog's social behavior toward humans is not entirely novel. It is largely the wolf social behavior system expressed toward a human target. The concept of dominance in dogs and its application to dog training has been significantly revised in recent decades based on more careful behavioral research. The idea of dogs constantly testing for dominance and seeking to become alpha over their human owners, widely popularized in training approaches from the mid-20th century, does not accurately reflect how dog social relationships actually work. Dogs are not trying to dominate their owners. Their social relationships with humans are more complex than a simple dominance hierarchy. They involve attachment, cooperation, learning histories, and context-dependent negotiation of access to resources. Aggressive behavior in dogs is most commonly the result of fear, anxiety, resource guarding, pain, or miscommunication rather than dominance motivation. Training approaches based on physical dominance assertion, alpha roles, scruff shakes, confrontational corrections, have been shown to increase rather than reduce aggression and anxiety in dogs, consistent with the model that these behaviors trigger defensive fear responses rather than submission to a dominant social partner. The social learning of dogs, their ability to learn by observing other dogs or humans, is well documented. Dogs can acquire new behaviors by watching a human or another dog perform them, a form of learning called social facilitation, and, At a more sophisticated level, imitative learning. Research has found that dogs can imitate human actions even after a delay, watching a human perform an action and then imitating it from memory later, a capacity called deferred imitation that is cognitively demanding. Dogs show selective imitation. They preferentially imitate the most efficient version of an action rather than copying exactly, suggesting they represent something about the goal of the action rather than simply copying the motor pattern. They also show imitation learning that is modulated by context. They are less likely to imitate an action if they perceive a good reason why the model performed it differently from usual. The olfactory communication of dogs is far richer than humans generally appreciate. Every dog carries an individual chemical signature in its urine, feces, anal gland secretions, and skin glands that encodes a remarkable amount of personal information. A dog investigating a urine mark left by another dog is reading information about the sex, age, reproductive status, individual identity, diet, health status, and emotional state of the individual that left the mark, as well as information about when the mark was deposited through the progressive degradation of volatile compounds over time. The anal glands, two sacs located on either side of the anus that release small quantities of a strongly scented secretion when a dog defecates, are a primary medium of chemical communication. When dogs greet each other by sniffing each other's hindquarters, they are reading the contents of these glands, gathering comprehensive social information. The apparent awkwardness of this greeting from a human perspective reflects a fundamental difference in the primary sensory channel through which dogs access social information. The concept of the stress ladder in dog behavior, a progression from subtle stress signals to more intense defensive behaviors, is well established in canine behavioral science. The initial signals of stress or discomfort in a dog are subtle and frequently missed by people unfamiliar with dog body language. Lip licking, yawning, turning the head away, sniffing the ground, scratching, shaking off as if wet. These are called calming signals, a term introduced by Norwegian dog trainer Turid Rugas, and they represent the dog's attempt to signal discomfort and reduce tension before escalating to more obvious signals. If these signals are not heeded, if the source of stress continues, the dog may progress to more visible indicators: tail tucking, body lowering, piloerection, whites of the eyes becoming visible, and eventually to growling, snapping, or biting. The bite that appears to come without warning is usually the last step in a long sequence of communications that have been ignored. Understanding the stress ladder and reading the early signals is the foundation of safe interaction with dogs and is central to the welfare and behavioral health of dogs living in human households. The sleep of dogs follows a pattern broadly similar to human sleep, with both slow-wave sleep and rapid eye movement sleep occurring in multiple cycles through the day and night. Dogs spend more time in sleep than humans, on average 12 to 14 hours per day for adult dogs, though puppies and senior dogs sleep more. The polyphasic sleep pattern of dogs, many short sleep periods distributed through the day and night, reflects the ancestral pattern of wolves, which must be alert to opportunities and threats at irregular intervals. During REM sleep, dogs show the rapid eye movements, muscle twitching, and occasional vocalizations that indicate they are dreaming. Research on sleeping dogs using electroencephalography has found brain activity patterns during REM sleep that resemble the patterns of waking activity, consistent with the hypothesis that dogs are replaying experiences from their waking life during sleep. What dogs dream about is, of course, inferred rather than known, but the behavioral evidence, the leg movements, the nose twitching, the soft barks and whimpers, is consistent with them replaying running and hunting sequences. The physical diversity of the domestic dog is extraordinary. The smallest known dog was a Chihuahua weighing approximately 0.5 kilograms. The largest are Irish Wolfhounds and Great Danes that can reach 90 kilograms. The range of body size within the domestic dog species, a factor of 180 in mass, is larger than the range of body size found in any other mammalian species. This extraordinary size variation is produced by relatively small changes in a few key developmental genes, particularly the insulin-like growth factor 1 gene IGF-1, which has been identified as a major determinant of body size across dog breeds. The anatomical diversity of dogs, in coat type, ear shape, leg length, snout length, tail carriage, and body proportion, is similarly extraordinary and reflects the intensity of human-directed selection for specific physical traits over thousands of years of breed development. The physiology of dog aging differs somewhat from that of humans, and the widely cited rule that 1 dog year equals 7 human years is an oversimplification. A more accurate model, based on analysis of DNA methylation patterns, a molecular clock that reflects biological age, suggests that young dogs age relatively rapidly by this measure and older dogs age more slowly, with the relationship being nonlinear. A 1-year-old dog is approximately equivalent in biological age to a 30-year-old human. A 4-year-old dog is approximately equivalent to a 52-year-old human. A 7-year-old dog is approximately equivalent to a 62-year-old human. The rate of aging also varies significantly by breed size. Large and giant breeds age faster than small breeds and have correspondingly shorter lifespans. A Great Dane has an average lifespan of approximately 7 to 8 years. A Chihuahua may live 15 to 17 years. The mechanism underlying this size-lifespan relationship in dogs is not fully understood, but appears to involve the same growth factor pathways that determine body size. The immune system of the dog has co-evolved with a suite of pathogens, parasites, and symbiotic microorganisms shaped by the environments in which dogs and their wolf ancestors have lived. Dogs are susceptible to a range of infectious diseases: canine distemper, parvovirus, rabies, leptospirosis, and the development of effective vaccines against these diseases over the past century has dramatically increased the lifespan and quality of life of domestic dogs. The gut microbiome of dogs, the community of microorganisms inhabiting the digestive tract, is increasingly recognized as important for immune function, behavioral health, and metabolic regulation, and similarities between the gut microbiomes of dogs and their human owners have been documented, suggesting that cohabitation leads to microbial exchange between species. Dogs and humans may literally share microbiomes through proximity, shared environments, and direct physical contact. The dog's cardiovascular system is adapted for sustained physical activity in ways that reflect the wolf's demands for long-distance pursuit of prey. Dogs have relatively large hearts for their body size, efficient oxygen-extracting hemoglobin, and a panting-based thermoregulation system. Because dogs have sweat glands only on their paw pads, evaporative cooling from the respiratory tract through panting is their primary means of dissipating heat. Panting is remarkably efficient. A dog breathing at rest takes approximately 30 to 40 breaths per minute, but during panting can take 300 to 400 shallow breaths per minute, dramatically increasing the evaporative surface area. Dogs can sustain physical activity over long distances and in warm conditions that would be heat-limiting for many other similarly sized mammals, though extreme heat remains dangerous in brachycephalic breeds. Those with shortened snouts have compromised thermoregulation due to their altered upper respiratory anatomy. The study of canine cognition has produced important insights not only into dog psychology, but into human evolution. Because dogs and humans have co-evolved in close contact for tens of thousands of years, the skills that dogs have developed for interacting with humans provide a natural experiment in social cognition. Whatever skills dogs have that wolves lack, and that are not simply the result of extended exposure to humans, are likely to be the products of selection during domestication. The fact that the most distinctive cognitive difference between dogs and wolves is in the domain of reading and responding to human communicative signals, rather than, for example, object permanence, spatial memory, or physical causality, suggests that the selective pressure of the dog-human relationship specifically shaped social communicative cognition. Dogs are, in a meaningful sense, a model for the kind of selection pressures that shaped human social cognition in the context of increasing social complexity. The benefits of dog ownership for human health have been extensively studied. Regular dog walking increases physical activity levels, particularly in older adults, with studies finding that dog owners walk on average 22 more minutes per day than non-owners. Owning a dog is associated with reduced cortisol levels, lower blood pressure, reduced heart rate during stressful tasks, and faster cardiovascular recovery from stress. Pet ownership generally, and dog ownership specifically, is associated with reduced rates of depression, reduced loneliness, improved social functioning, and better outcomes following myocardial infarction. These effects appear to involve multiple pathways: the direct physiological effects of stroking and interacting with a dog, the social facilitation effect of dog ownership. Dogs serve as social catalysts, facilitating interactions between their owners and other people. The structure and purpose that caring for a dog provides to daily life, and the attachment bond itself. The training of dogs for service and assistance work exploits the remarkable cognitive and sensory capabilities of the species for human benefit. Guide dogs for the blind must navigate their handler through complex environments while ignoring distractions, making independent judgments about when it is safe to cross a street, and refusing commands that would result in danger, a capacity called intelligent disobedience. Medical alert dogs are trained to detect and warn their handler of impending medical events including seizures, hypoglycemic episodes in diabetic patients, and cardiac events, apparently detecting subtle changes in body chemistry that precede clinical symptoms. PTSD service dogs are paired with veterans and others experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder, providing the physiological benefits of the human-dog bond, interrupting stress responses through physical contact, and providing a social buffer in anxiety-provoking public situations. Search and rescue dogs use their olfactory capabilities to locate living people buried under earthquake rubble, avalanche debris, or floodwater, and cadaver dogs locate human remains. The range of human service for which dogs have been trained reflects the breadth of their cognitive, olfactory, and social capabilities. The way dogs communicate with each other through body language is a complete and sophisticated system. Tail position and movement carry nuanced information. A tail held high and wagging broadly generally indicates confidence and friendly excitement. A tail held low and wagging in small movements close to the body indicates submission or anxiety. A tail held rigidly at mid-height with a stiff, small wag indicates arousal and possible aggression. A tail tucked tightly between the legs indicates fear. These signals interact with the position of the ears, the carriage of the body, the direction of gaze, the height at which the dog holds itself, and the pattern of its breathing and vocalization to produce a communicative system of considerable complexity. Dogs that have been bred with physical characteristics that impair this communication, permanently floppy ears that cannot be raised and directed, dock tails that remove the signaling surface, pushed-in faces that limit facial expression, may have reduced ability to communicate clearly with other dogs, which can contribute to misunderstandings and conflict in social encounters. Dogs use vocalization as a rich communicative medium. Barks vary in pitch, rhythm, and duration in ways that carry different meanings. The bark of a dog guarding its territory is acoustically different from the playful bark of a dog inviting interaction, which is acoustically different from the bark of a dog in distress. Research has found that humans can accurately distinguish between different bark types, and that dogs themselves respond differently to recordings of different bark types. Growls vary similarly. The low-pitched, continuous growl of a dog defending a resource is acoustically distinct from the higher-pitched, intermittent growl of a dog engaged in play. Whines, howls, and the variety of softer vocalizations dogs produce in close interaction with humans complete a vocal repertoire that, while less structurally complex than human language, carries substantial semantic content. The aging brain of a dog shows many parallels with aging in the human brain. Senior dogs develop a condition called canine cognitive dysfunction syndrome, sometimes called doggy dementia, that shares features with human Alzheimer's disease: disorientation, disruption of the sleep-wake cycle, reduced social interaction, loss of learned behaviors, increased anxiety, and house soiling after previously being reliably house-trained. Pathological examination of affected dogs' brains reveals deposits of beta-amyloid, the same protein that accumulates abnormally in Alzheimer's disease, in the brain tissue. Dogs are therefore used as a naturally occurring animal model for Alzheimer's disease research. The parallel biological aging of dogs and their human companions means that dogs and their owners often navigate aging-related cognitive and physical changes concurrently. The relationship between dogs and their human owners involves a degree of behavioral and physiological synchrony that has been documented in multiple studies. The heart rate variability of dogs and their owners, a measure of autonomic nervous system regulation, tends to be correlated during periods of calm shared rest. Dogs and owners who have strong attachment relationships show synchronized behaviors. They look at each other at similar rates, move closer together at similar times, and show correlated patterns of movement and rest over the course of the day. This synchrony appears to be bidirectional. The dog's state influences the owner's state and vice versa, through a continuous loop of social feedback that maintains a shared affective tone. The word companionship for the dog-human relationship is not merely metaphorical. It describes something real and measurable in the physiology of both parties. The working relationship between humans and herding dogs represents one of the more sophisticated collaborative cognitive achievements in human animal history. A skilled herding dog and an experienced shepherd can work together to manage a flock of hundreds of sheep across several kilometers of complex terrain, with communication between them consisting of a handful of whistled commands. The dog must interpret general directional commands and execute them with independent judgment, adjusting to the behavior of the sheep, the terrain, and the changing context of the situation in ways that the shepherd cannot anticipate in detail. The cognitive demands on the dog are considerable. It must maintain continuous monitoring of the flock, the shepherd, its own position, and the terrain. It must represent the goal state, where the sheep should be, and plan a sequence of actions to achieve it. And it must modulate its behavior based on the sheep's responses and the shepherd's signals. This kind of collaborative problem-solving, in which two minds of different species are working toward a shared goal with complementary capabilities, is remarkable and represents a genuine form of interspecies cognitive partnership. The question of what dogs feel, whether they experience emotions in a meaningful sense, has been approached from multiple angles. Behavioral evidence is consistent with dogs experiencing a range of emotional states including fear, anxiety, frustration, excitement, contentment, and something that resembles affection or love. Neuroimaging evidence shows brain activation patterns in dogs that parallel human brain responses to emotionally significant stimuli. Neurochemical evidence shows that dogs produce and respond to the same neurochemical signals: dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, cortisol, that mediate emotion in humans. Evolutionary arguments suggest that the neural architecture underlying basic emotions is conserved across mammals. The weight of this evidence leads most behavioral scientists to conclude that dogs do experience emotions, though the precise phenomenological character of those emotions, what it is like to be a dog experiencing fear or affection, is not knowable to us through any current scientific method. The cultural relationship between humans and dogs has produced some of the most enduring and widespread human-animal partnerships in history. Dogs have been buried with humans in graves dating back thousands of years, suggesting the depth of emotional significance these animals had for early human communities. They appear in the art, mythology, and literature of virtually every human culture. They served as hunting partners, livestock guardians, draft animals, military animals, disease detectors, and companions across every continent and every era of human history. The diversity of roles dogs have filled and continue to fill reflects the remarkable adaptability of their intelligence and their social bond with humans. More than any other animal, the dog has shaped its own evolutionary trajectory by being genuinely useful to humans, and in doing so has become the most widely distributed carnivore on Earth. The care that humans provide for dogs, veterinary medicine, nutritional research, behavioral science, breeding for health and temperament, represents an extraordinary investment of resources and attention in another species. This investment is not primarily economic. Most dogs are kept as companions rather than for working purposes. It reflects the depth and the genuine nature of the bond that has developed between these two species across tens of thousands of years of shared life. The dog does not merely serve humans or tolerate humans. For a dog raised with appropriate socialization and care, the human companion is the center of its social world, the being around whom its emotional life is organized, whose presence is the primary determinant of its well-being, and toward whom it directs the full complexity of a social intelligence shaped by evolution to build and maintain close relationships. Another quiet piece of dog science is the way dogs use space. A human often thinks of a home as a collection of rooms with names and functions: kitchen, bedroom, hallway, door. A dog may experience the same home as a map of access, scent, safety, temperature, sound, and social meaning. One corner may be good for resting because it has a wall behind it. A doorway may matter because people pass through it. A rug may hold the strongest smell of the household. A window may be a monitoring station. A kitchen may be a place where food appears, but also where human attention shifts downward and hands become interesting. The dog's map is not only geometric, it is emotional and chemical. This spatial intelligence helps explain why dogs often notice small changes in an environment before humans do. A chair moved slightly, a bag placed near a door, shoes taken from a closet, a suitcase opened on a bed. These can become signals. The dog may not know the human concept of travel, but it can learn the pattern that precedes absence. A dog that becomes anxious when suitcases appear is not irrational. It has associated a specific environmental change with a meaningful social outcome. The person leaves. In this way, dogs become excellent readers of human routines because their survival and comfort have long depended on predicting what humans will do next. The relationship between dogs and children is another area where the popular image is often simpler than the science. Some dogs are exceptionally gentle with children and seem to recognize their immaturity. Others find children stressful because children move unpredictably, make sudden sounds, stare directly, grab fur, approach resting spaces, and fail to read early warning signals. A good dog-child relationship is not created by assuming the dog should tolerate everything. It is created by teaching the child respectful behavior, giving the dog escape options, supervising interactions, and recognizing signs of discomfort early. The dog that calmly walks away from a child is communicating well. The human's job is to honor that communication before the dog has to become louder. Dogs also have a relationship with human speech that is more layered than simple command recognition. They learn tone, rhythm, emotional color, repeated phrases, and the predictive meaning of certain words. A dog may know the word walk, but it may also know the difference between a casual mention of the word and the particular tone that means a walk is actually about to happen. Many dogs learn phrases that are never formally trained. Wait there, not now. Where is it? Go find. Come on. Leave it. Bedtime. They may not parse grammar like a human, but they extract meaning from repeated sound patterns embedded in predictable contexts. Language, for a dog, is partly sound and partly event. This is why dogs can sometimes appear to ignore commands they know. The cue may not be as clear as the human thinks. The environment may be more distracting. The reward may be less valuable than what the dog is already doing. The dog may be stressed, over-aroused, tired, or physically uncomfortable. A cue learned in the kitchen may not automatically generalize to a park full of dogs, squirrels, bicycles, and scent trails. Generalization is a real learning process. Humans often assume that once a dog knows a behavior, it knows it everywhere. The dog brain does not work that way. Context matters, and training across contexts is what turns a behavior from a household trick into reliable communication. Food motivation in dogs is often treated casually, but it reflects deep biology. For a scavenging carnivore-omnivore shaped by life around human settlements, food opportunity is important. Dogs evolved in environments where edible resources were irregular and competition mattered. A dog that takes food quickly is not necessarily greedy in a moral sense. It may be responding to an inherited and learned logic. Food available now may not be available later. This is one reason food rewards are so effective in training. They speak to a motivational system that is ancient, direct, and easily understood by the dog. But the emotional meaning of food can also become complicated when humans use it inconsistently, with frustration, bribery, guilt, or conflict. Touch is another form of communication that humans often assume dogs enjoy automatically. Many dogs like touch from trusted people, but not all touch is equal. Slow stroking along the chest or side may be calming. Reaching over the head, grabbing the face, hugging tightly, or patting rapidly may be uncomfortable for many dogs, especially from strangers. Dogs show consent or reluctance through body language. Leaning in, soft muscles, relaxed eyes, returning for more contact, or moving away, turning the head, licking lips, yawning, and freezing. A respectful interaction allows the dog to choose. This is not sentimental. It is behavioral science. Choice reduces stress, and reduced stress improves welfare. The idea of consent has become increasingly important in modern animal behavior work. Cooperative care training teaches dogs to participate willingly in grooming, nail trimming, veterinary examinations, ear cleaning, and handling. Instead of forcing the dog through every procedure, the trainer teaches a start button behavior, a chin rest, a paw target, standing on a mat. That tells the human the dog is ready. If the dog moves away, the procedure pauses. This kind of training can transform care from a repeated struggle into a predictable conversation. It is especially important for dogs with fear, pain, or medical conditions that require frequent handling. The dog learns that its behavior can influence what happens to its body, and that sense of control is profoundly calming. Pain is a hidden factor in many behavior problems. Dogs are good at masking pain, partly because obvious weakness is costly in many animal social systems. A dog with chronic joint pain may become irritable when touched, reluctant to climb stairs, less tolerant of other dogs, or suddenly resistant to handling. A dog with dental pain may guard food or avoid chew toys. A dog with ear infections may snap when the head is touched. Behavioral change is often the first sign of medical discomfort. This is why good behavior assessment includes veterinary evaluation. The question is not only what is the dog doing, but what might the dog be feeling physically while doing it. The sensory world of dogs also changes with age. Hearing may fade. Vision may become cloudy. Joints may stiffen. The dog may become more easily startled because it no longer detects approach until the person is close. It may sleep more deeply or wake more often. It may become anxious at night if cognitive changes make familiar spaces seem less predictable. Senior dogs often need not only medical care but environmental redesign. Softer bedding, non-slip surfaces, ramps, predictable routines, gentle exercise, and patience with slower responses. Aging is not only a biological process. It is a change in how the dog can access the world. Puppies and elderly dogs show, in different ways, how dependent dogs are on human interpretation. A puppy does not know how to live in a human home until taught. A senior dog may slowly lose capacities it once had and need the human to notice before frustration builds. In both cases, kindness without understanding is not enough. The human must translate canine behavior into needs. The puppy chewing the table may need supervision, sleep, outlets, and teething relief. The old dog standing in a hallway at night may need light, pain control, cognitive support, or a simpler path to the bed. Behavior is information if the human learns to read it. Dogs have also forced scientists to reconsider the boundary between nature and culture in animals. Some dog behaviors are inherited tendencies. Others are learned from humans, other dogs, and environments. Working traditions are often cultural in the practical sense. A young livestock guardian learns not only from genetics, but from older dogs, sheep, landscape, and handler expectations. A hunting dog learns the rhythms of a hunt. A sled dog learns the team. A detection dog learns the game of finding target odor. The domestic dog is therefore a product of genes, but also of training cultures built by humans over generations. The same biological animal can become many different kinds of dog depending on the social world into which it is born. The relationship between dogs and wolves remains emotionally charged because people often use wolves to justify ideas about how dogs should be treated. But wolves are not caricatures of dominance and aggression. Wild wolf packs are usually family groups built around parents and offspring, with cooperation, care, and coordinated hunting at the center. The old image of constant alpha conflict came partly from studies of unrelated captive wolves living under artificial conditions. Applying that image to domestic dogs led to training methods based on confrontation and social control. Modern science has moved away from that. The lesson from wolves is not that dogs need domination. It is that social carnivores are sensitive, cooperative, communicative animals whose relationships are built through stability and trust, as well as hierarchy. Dogs can also teach us about evolution because domestication shows how quickly selection can reshape behavior. In natural evolution, selection often acts over immense timescales. In domestication, the selective environment is intense and consistent. Animals that tolerate humans survive and reproduce near humans. Animals that are useful or appealing are favored. Animals that fit human environments are kept. Over generations, small behavioral differences accumulate. Fear decreases. Attention shifts. Bodies change. Reproductive cycles change. Communication changes. The dog is therefore a living example of evolution not as an abstract historical theory, but as a process visible in the bodies and behaviors around us. One subtle but important point is that dogs did not evolve for modern life. They adapted to humans, but not necessarily to elevators, traffic, fireworks, slippery floors, 8-hour absences, crowded sidewalks, or constant indoor confinement. Many modern problems arise from this mismatch. A dog may have the instincts of a working animal and the schedule of a city apartment. It may hear fireworks as explosions, not celebrations. It may smell 1,000 dogs in an urban block and be expected to walk calmly in a straight line. It may be bred for companionship, but left alone through long workdays. Understanding this mismatch helps replace blame with design. The environment can be changed. The dog can be taught. The human can adjust expectations. Fireworks and thunderstorms show the power of sensory mismatch especially clearly. A human knows a storm is weather and a firework is celebration. A dog experiences sudden pressure changes, low-frequency rumbles, flashes, vibrations, and explosive sounds without that conceptual explanation. Some dogs recover quickly. Others panic, hide, tremble, pant, pace, or attempt escape. Noise sensitivity has genetic and experiential components and can worsen over time if untreated. Helping these dogs may involve safe spaces, sound buffering, gradual desensitization, medication when needed, and avoiding the old idea that fear should simply be ignored. Fear is not a behavior chosen for attention. It is a physiological state. The same principle applies to reactivity on leash. A dog that barks and lunges at other dogs may not be aggressive in the simple sense. It may be afraid, frustrated, overexcited, or trapped by the leash. Leashes prevent normal canine movement patterns. Dogs cannot arc around each other, retreat freely, or use distance the way they might off-leash. They are held in a straight line, often facing directly forward, which can be socially intense. Reactivity often improves not through harsher corrections, but through distance, counterconditioning, teaching alternative behaviors, and changing the dog's emotional response to triggers. The goal is not to suppress the bark while leaving the panic intact. The goal is to reduce the need for the bark. The mortal language humans use around dogs can obscure this. Words like stubborn, guilty, spiteful, dramatic, jealous, dominant, or bad often say more about human frustration than about canine motivation. Dogs can certainly be persistent, competitive, attention-seeking, or emotionally intense. But they are not usually plotting in the human sense. A dog that urinates indoors after being left alone is unlikely to be taking revenge. It may be anxious, undertrained, medically unwell, or unable to hold its bladder. A dog that steals food is not morally corrupt. It found food and took it. Scientific thinking asks for mechanisms instead of insults. What is reinforcing this behavior? What emotion is involved? What need is unmet? What has the dog learned? This is why the best modern dog science feels both more rigorous and more compassionate than older folklore. It does not romanticize dogs as perfect angels. It does not reduce them to machines either. It sees them as animals with nervous systems shaped by evolution and experience. It asks what they perceive, what they predict, what motivates them, what frightens them, what rewards them, what hurts them, and what helps them recover. That approach makes the relationship better because it replaces domination with understanding and confusion with clearer communication. One of the most beautiful scientific facts about dogs is that much of the relationship is built from ordinary repetition. The dog does not bond with a human through one grand event. It bonds through thousands of small predictions fulfilled. The person returns. The bowl is filled. The hand is gentle. The voice is familiar. The walk happens. The bed is safe. The scary sound ends. The body relaxes. Trust is repetition written into the nervous system. By the time a dog rests calmly near a person, that calm may represent months or years of small experiences in which the world proved stable enough. And this is why losing a dog can feel so profound to humans. The loss is not only the loss of an animal. It is the loss of a daily regulator, a witness to routines, a body in the home, a reason to walk, a greeting at the door, a presence during ordinary hours that might otherwise have gone unnoticed. The human-dog bond is made from repetition too. Over time, the dog's life becomes interwoven with the human sense of day, place, and self. Science can measure hormones and heart rate, but anyone who has lived with a dog knows that the measurements are only shadows of the lived reality. Still, The measurements matter. They show that the bond is not imaginary. Mutual gaze changes oxytocin. Touch alters stress physiology. Shared activity changes heart rhythms. Dogs respond to human emotion. Humans respond to canine presence. The relationship exists in bodies, not only in stories. That is why dogs belong in science as much as in memory, literature, and family photographs. They are not just symbols of loyalty. They are biological partners in a shared social system built over thousands of years. The dog lying beside someone tonight, or waiting in another room, or sleeping at the foot of a bed, is not a simple creature in a simple story. It is the living result of ice age contact, natural selection, human preference, neural plasticity, chemical sensitivity, social learning, and daily care. Its body remembers the wolf. Its mind has been shaped by people. Its nose reads invisible histories. Its ears receive sounds beyond us. Its face has evolved to speak to ours. Its attachment system can organize itself around a human household with a depth that is measurable in hormones, behavior, and the quiet choices of everyday life. That is what makes dogs scientifically extraordinary. They are not extraordinary because they are perfect. They are not. They can be anxious, impulsive, fearful, stubborn, noisy, destructive, or difficult because they are living animals with nervous systems, needs, histories, and limits. They are extraordinary because they have become one of the few species on Earth capable of building a genuine social bridge to ours. A dog does not understand everything we say. We do not understand everything it senses. And still, somehow, across the long distance between two species, the relationship works. The dog watches the human. The human speaks to the dog. A hand lowers. A tail moves. A familiar scent fills the room. A nervous system recognizes safety in the presence of another nervous system. After thousands of years, that may be the quietest and most remarkable fact of all. Sleep well. Good night.